Right. We're gonna do this again. We're on a 3-week streak. It's amazing. Three weeks. Streaming each week. It's just that time of year. Not a real busy time of year for me. Not a lot going on. It's winter. It's cold. Well, it's supposed to be cold. Get things set up here. Trying to decide what I want to do today. Kind of got 3 things that need to get done. 3 things that need to get done before the current build, before this current iteration of the game goes live. You know, that's not 3 small things. We're not going to get them done today. But I think we might be able to get 1 done, or get close to getting 1 done. Those 3 things are, I want to add in a new unit, and that might be in the next level of tech tree. That might hinge a little bit on the second thing. I want to add in a new unit that is long range resource transport. Right now we have shuttles that go a short distance from one building to another, but they have a limited range of like 5, I think it's like 5 hex tiles. Not super far, but far enough to get stuff done. But now with the new structure of the world, so to speak, where it's much larger, you don't necessarily have continuous paths from one place to another. You're going to end up with resources on one side of the map that you need on the other side of the map. And I think what's in the current public build is okay. Like, I think it's okay. In that the map size isn't so big that you can shuttle things from one side to the other. And for the most part, you're not doing a lot of, the tech tree's not so advanced right now that you have to send stuff all over the place and there's this wild mixing and matching. So I think one of the things that I want to do at some point is add in a longer range transport so that you can transport from one side of the map to the other. Basically just a giant shuttle that will only connect to, like, you'll build ports on either side and the shuttle will only run between those 2. I think that just makes sense. I think it's going to be a nice quality of life. Yeah, I think that's going to make a lot of sense. So that's one thing. I was debating doing that today. That's not a huge thing to create. There's some art in there. There's a decent amount of code, a fair amount of testing to get that in there, but it's not crazy. Number 2 is some play testing. We got to do a lot of play testing. We got to do a lot of play testing to push this one out there. I'm actually tempted potentially to put this current build on a public playtest just to get more people playing. That might happen. Playtesting, we're going to do a ton of playtesting. And the third, which I think is what we're going to do today, is work on saving this world map and the data that goes with it. It's not real glorious work. I don't think it's too bad though. Given the current save system, it's not too bad. It does take a little bit of time to test in that you have to go build a world so that you have data to save, see if that data gets saved, then go back in and reload the data, see if it gets loaded correctly. There's a little bit of tediousness there in terms of both like creating the data and then unpackaging the data so that you can rebuild the world. But maybe that's a good thing to do on stream. I didn't want to spend too much time today modeling. We could probably do the building thing without a new model. We could just do it with a stand-in texture, and maybe it's not a bad thing to do. But actually, I think Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to start with the saving thing because I was thinking about doing that last week. I think I want to do that this week. So things that we need to save is the world map. We don't want to, so right now when we start up a new game, which we've got here, we generate a new world, right? We generate this map here. We don't want to do that if we're loading. If we've got data load, we want to regenerate this in all the same way that we can. We don't have to save the individual tiles. That should already be getting done. But we do need to save this, and we have to reconstruct some of the sector data that gets created when we generate the map. And I think that's essentially it. We're first going to start with the world map, and then we'll move on to some of the sector data, which I think once we get the world map, once we get this rolling, it's going to take a little bit to get my head back in the space of like, okay, how does this work? What are all the things we need to check? That's going to take a little bit of time, but then we're going to get into this. So let's do that. Let's work on the saving of this. So part of the problem here is that, make this a little bit bigger for streaming, is that our world information is spread across multiple classes in a way that I think makes sense. I've complained about this a little bit in the past couple streams. I think it makes sense the way it's spread across, but at the same time, it does fragment things a little bit. So we've got our world map generator. This is what is doing. This is what's doing the world map generation. Go figure. All right, we're going to get rid of that. That's an unused class. Let's just get rid of that. That doesn't need to be there. Okay. So let's look at right now. So the world map generator currently has a save and load function. So let's take a look at what we've implemented there. So we're saving the seed. We're saving all of our map tile data. It's a list of level data. Let's take a look at what our level data is. So essentially, this is pretty key here. Most particularly, we want our sector type and our sector location. That's going to be pretty key. And so we're just taking a look here at what we got. So this is the function that we call after loading this data. This is old. I don't think this is actually what we want. Okay, so that's where that is. Let's see. I don't think our window is going to need any. Our window's not going to need any work at all. Well, I shouldn't say that. The window might need a little bit of work because after it needs to know once this data is loaded, but maybe that's not such a big deal. Here's our world map manager. So this is what is loading, or this is what's dealing with the map once we've created it. So essentially the way our scripts break down here is we have the world map generator. It kicks everything off. The world map window does the display for the player. And then the world map manager is dealing with the logic of the map itself. I'm not there yet, but I'm interested. I think the typical Unity build is the UI and the logic get pretty tightly intertwined, and I'm very much interested in walking away and separating those two. And so that's a little bit of what the attempt is here. And then the last script that I think that we're going to have to deal with is this sector manager, which is, again, dealing with individual sectors. It's aware of, this isn't worried about the map itself, but this is dealing with individual sectors in the game because as you unlock sectors, we need to be aware of what you've locked or haven't locked and such things. So this is definitely, yeah, we've already got an iSave data here. Let's see what we've got. Let's just trim everything. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got here. Okay, and so what we're doing here is we're just writing this data. We're taking the dictionary, taking the easy way out here. We take the dictionary of data, all the sector data, and we're just saving it. When we load it, we just override the dictionary and then we get resource tiles. That seems pretty straightforward. Okay, and there's going to be little hiccups here and there. There always is. There's always little bits and pieces that you forget. So let's go back to the world map generator here. This is where we need to look at stuff. So I want to refresh my memory here as to how we're doing this to start with. Okay, so the way this works, in start, there's still a little bit of a debris from older ways of doing this. I'm not even sure we need a delayed build. I haven't tested that. We did the old way that I was building the map. I'm not sure that that's necessary now. So we generate the map. We get all of our neighbors. I'm not sure even what that is doing. I'm not 100% sure that that's still necessary. And then once we've generated the map, we invoke this map generated so other things know what's going on. And let's go see who's listening to this just so we have a better picture of what's happening here. Okay, so our hex grid, I know it's pretty small, but our hex grid, that needs to know about it. So that's actually what's drawing, that hex grid is drawing this white outline. It's a little hard to see in the current. It's mostly hidden. But this hex grid, it's this white outline here. So that's listening to it. Our hex tile manager is definitely listening to it. Our landmass generator. Okay, so our landmass generator is listening to this, which is pretty key. We don't want our landmass generator to kick off, because when we're loading, we're going to load in the tiles. That should already be handled. Our sector manager, it's doing that to generate everything. Okay. So I think what we're going to need to do, we're going to have to have another. It's unfortunate. I'm just looking at duplication here. So when I'm looking down here, hey, Slippery Veins. Thanks for joining again. Just pull that up above my camera there. So I've got almost all of this needs to get called again. So all of this world map manager, this all needs to get called again. Get sector locations. Oop. We might have to just duplicate. I think the safest thing is to duplicate. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a whole bunch of weird if this, then that handling. which I tend not to like. I think I'd rather have a bespoke event than, yeah, try to do all this special handling. Things are going good, actually. Things are going real well. Oh, there we go. Ha! Map loaded. Look, what do you know? Perfect. We got map loaded already. Awesome. Love that. Yeah, Slippery Veins, we're working on not real glorious work here today, but working on some save and loading functionality for our world map, which has been the big focus for the last couple of weeks of building that up. So I think it's in a pretty good state. I think it is in a state that I really want to start playtesting, and being able to save a game sure makes that a whole lot easier to playtest. So let's again look at here what we're doing. Okay, so we're saving level data. I want to go look and see here. Let's get out of play mode here. It does take a long time to leave play mode with all the tiles in there. It's got to unload all of them. Building in this, getting the save and load functionality working too will be really important for playtesting and benchmarking. I don't really care that this takes a lot of time here, but I'm definitely, it's an open question as to what the performance is going to look like of this game. Like, how quickly can we load into the world? How quickly can we close this out? Those are some questions there. All right, so let's see. What we are saving is resources. We need to save, I'm pretty sure we need to save sector type. Let's take a look here. I don't think... I don't think we need to save resources. I don't think we need to save neighbors. Let's go find... yeah, like neighbors is barely used. I don't think it's used really at all. Get all neighbors. We don't need that. We're just going to get rid of that. I was pretty sure we could get rid of that anyway. So we're going to get rid of get all neighbors. Back here, we're going to get rid of neighbors because we just don't need it. I'm not entirely sure that we need resources either. Let's get rid of sector control. That's old. I do really enjoy deleting code. It's a very satisfying thing to delete code. All right, let's delete this too. This just doesn't need to be. Let's look at resources. Where is this actually getting used? It's getting used in this generate resources, get estimate of tile counts. Like, I don't even think that's necessary. All right, let's look at where this is. I don't think this is necessary. because that was originally used for populating the sliders, the bars on the map, so that when you typed when you clicked on a sector, you could see how many resources it was. But that was before I was generating the entire resource. We didn't know exactly. Here, Slippery Vin. Sorry, I missed a couple of your posts here. Let's see what you're saying here. I had to get lots of help from the forums while doing the save system, and it's on top using the asset. Yeah, it's use a saved dictionary of dictionaries to have proper saving between scenes. Yeah, it's not an easy thing. One of the videos that I've been working on for quite some time now, and by working on for quite some time, I mean that I have a 90% done script ready to go, is how I built the save system. And I really quite like this. It's right. I'm using Easy Save. I think we talked about this last week. Like, I'm using Easy Save, which does a lot of the hard, more technical work for me. But I came up with a framework here that I really quite like, and it's pretty easy to implement. I don't know if I like it more than anybody else does, but well, probably do. But what's my point? I think it might be worth sharing to a wider audience. Okay. So we are still saving this level data. I think this is still a valid thing to do. We're saving the location and the sector type. I think that's really the key piece of what we need to do. Generation data, that's a reference to a scriptable object. So that doesn't really matter because we're not regenerating. And again, I'm pretty sure these resources are not going to get used. So let's go into load map data. So that's what's going to happen. Okay, so save wise, we come in, we save the seed, which is great. We needed to do that. Maybe we did. I'm not entirely sure we needed to, actually. That might be based on the idea. I might have thought, hey, let's just regenerate the map. That's a possibility of what I was going for there. Because if you can just save the seed and regenerate the map, then that's the only data you really need to save. Which still could work, but feels like it could be, if there's any error in that, it could be pretty bad. Of course it's worth sharing. I hope so. I hope it's worth sharing. It's not a complicated system. But like I was faced with this idea of like, how do you save all of this data? How do you save all of it and do it in a way that's scalable so that like now, like when I'm working on my world map, like I'm not breaking any other part of the save system. So that's what I like about it. Okay, so we come in here, we load, we check if the world seed exists, we check if the level data exists. If it does, we dump it into here. I don't know why that needs to be outside there. I feel like that can be inside there. And then we pump into load map data. Great. All right, I don't want this to happen. I don't want that to happen. I want to throw an error. Because that's a problem. All right, world map data. Let's go take a look at what we're actually doing. Okay, so we're pumping the stuff in. Okay, so this just isn't going to do the trick. Okay, we're gonna get rid of this too. This was another fail safe. Hey, if we didn't load a map, then generate a map. So that's just not gonna work. This is not gonna work because we're looking for these maps, these tiles and they're not going to be there. So what we need to do instead is do much more along this of add tile. So let's look at how we're adding tiles. So we just location, instantiate parent, da 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 da. Oh, there's a serializer you're not supposed to use. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I believe that. I'm just looking at this and seeing, hey, like, can I... I would just like to reuse this code if I can, so that I'm not having to, yeah, like, because I basically need this entire chunk. The only thing that's not getting set is this sector type that's coming in. So let's try something like that. Can we do this? Can I do a... Give it a default value, which is a little... cheesy. So what I'm going to say is if sector type equals none, then let's assign it. Otherwise, we can do like that. I think that works. So if it comes in as none, that's the default value. We're going to go get a sector type for that tile. Binary formatter. Yeah, that's kind of like all that kind of serialization, the kind of thing. That's on a level deeper than I know very much about. So I'm curious. There was a guy on my Discord that was going to pop in today. See if he's going to answer some questions. I wonder if he'll show up today. I do chuckle a little bit with the number of people that show up. Like if I don't stream for 6 weeks and I stream, like YouTube, like I think YouTube must like promote the idea and like shows it to more people, or more people are just like, oh, I haven't seen that for a while. I'm not sure, but now that I've done this 3 weeks in a row, you know, a number of people that show up definitely slips. And what was kind of strange to me is that I used to post the live stream days in advance to like make sure people knew about it, they could set their notifications, and that seemed to really screw things up. I don't know if they fixed that, but I could see even in my analytics that I could see for this huge amount of time that I had no viewers. Like it started the analytics when I posted the live stream. I don't have any hard proof that it was screwing things up, but it sure looked like it. All right, I think this is good. I think this is we're going to flip this. So if we can find that location, we're going to get all done. Otherwise, we're going to do add tile data like that. Oh, interesting. I'd say that makes sense, but does it? I don't know. All right. Okay. So now I think we're correctly loading our data in, which is great. But what we don't have is, so this map loaded, nobody's listening to the map loaded anymore, or not very many people. So let's go. What I want to do, we're going to grab map generated here. And I'm going to screenshot this so I don't have to keep coming back to it. It's going to live on my other monitor here. So I got this, I haven't played with it a ton, but my day job today, we were playing with the idea of separate or multiple displays, which I had in my head was a really hard thing to do with Unity, or it wasn't supported out of the box. And I think it is. I've got this in my head now that I think it'd be very fun to make a game that would work on multiple monitors. I mean, that probably brings a huge headache in terms of UI and resolution and size and that kind of thing. But it's kind of awesome. For this game, I'm not sure, the one I'm working on right now, I'm not sure it makes any sense to do that. Although I did wonder, like, it could be pretty cool if you could have a larger mini map on a side monitor. Like, we turn off the mini monitor, the mini map in the upper right, and it becomes its own window. On the side. It would be a little silly to create that, but I wonder if it could be fun. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Microsoft warned not to use it. Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, in terms of the who's limits who can play the game, I think it's got to be an optional thing, right? It's got to be a optional feature that really makes the game better. 100%. But it does surprise me that it's not more commonly used. Like I could imagine games where you might have inventory that you want to be able to look at frequently, or some sort of reference of what's going on in the game. Things like a mini map, or, you know, if you were just like any sort of productivity too. Like, I think if you had some really complex simulation where you had a whole bunch that you wanted to monitor, how nice would it be to be able to see more of it? I don't know. I guess I'm just surprised that it's a space that hasn't been explored more. Or maybe people have explored it and it turns out that it is pretty lousy. It's a distinct possibility. Okay. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's go. So map generated. Let's go. We're going to go through one by one here. And add these. Map loaded. We're going to add these in here, because I think that'll work just fine. That one will work just fine. And let's see, get sector locations. Yep, we're literally just getting those locations. That's great. So let's duplicate that. Or maybe we'll stick this over here, so it's not behind my camera. That should be fine. All right, get sector locations again. That should be perfectly safe. Map loaded. Map loaded. Yeah, I mean, I never played Nintendo DS. Yeah, I would guess that would be a pain to emulate for sure. Yeah, with the two screens. I never played with that. And I think, I think it's got limited use case. I think, again, it's just one of those, one of those things that I do think a decent number of people have multiple monitors. And you really can get a second monitor for very little. I mean, a pretty OLED monitor still costs silly amounts, but I don't know. All right, what is this? Okay, this is another get. Oop. Map loaded. Map loaded. Okay, so that works. It would be amazing if this was this easy. It's the landmass generator. Actually, okay, so that's one I just kind of blindly. Oh, that's the other thing I need. There's some other work I need to do. I forgot about that. Seeing this line here on generation dataset. So before I pivoted on the world map and what that was going to look like, I was generating each of these sectors with a different generation dataset. And that had like its own custom gradients for the sunlight and moonlight. It had different settings for the fog and what have you. And that all made sense. That still exists. And actually, if you watch the world simulation right now or world generation, you'll watch the lighting change as each new sector is loaded. So I got to clean that out. And I want to, I haven't decided if this is over engineered, but I kind of was curious about the idea of keeping those lighting gradients different and assigned to each sector. And then as you move from one sector to another, the lighting changes depending on which sector you're the closest to. So effectively, we lerp between all the color, use all the gradients to lerp the color, so that right as you move from like a desert tile to say a marsh tile, the tone, the feel changes a little bit. Yeah, I think I love having two monitors. If I could, I mean, like I have reasonably nice monitors. I don't have anything terribly, terribly fancy. I got two 4K monitors. But I'm not sitting here on like, $1,200 OLED or something like that. I've seen Dell just released, it's a stupid price. It's like $3,000. This giant, Linus Tech Tips did a video on it. This 52-inch screen. It's a 6K monitor. And it's the equivalent of essentially, I think physically size-wise, it's the equivalent of 4 32-inch monitors. Like two of them stacked horizontally stacked on top of each other and then side ones. So like it's all there. If it was half the price, maybe I'd think about it. But in terms of desk space, if you don't already get a monitor arm, buy a cheap ass monitor arm off Amazon. It gets your monitors up off your desk. It's pretty amazing. But for Unity, what I find nice, what I like is being able to have the code in one monitor in Unity and another. And usually I have the code in a vertical monitor, but I do find that 16:9 is a little, when it's turned vertically, is a little skinny to have the code. I've wondered if a 16:10 would solve that issue. That's the monitor I'd like to see and test, is like a 27, maybe a 30-inch 16:10 monitor put vertically for a secondary monitor for code and what have you. And I'm of the belief that the more monitors you get, you will always need one more. Okay. So here I need to look closer on sector, get sector locations. This is where we do our generation, which we don't want to do. So we want to turn that off. Actually, that is one we do not want to blindly copy. The other thing I've seen again, and I can't justify the price on it. Corsair came out with a small it's a wide aspect ratio screen. It's like designed to like sit under your main monitor or even on the side or whatever, and it's a touch screen, and it's just big enough to say have a video in it or have your music controls. Totally not necessary. If somebody bought me one, I'd be pretty stoked, but I think they're like $350 or something. And I think they were hinting at like Stream Deck like functionality. You can set up buttons and what have you. But for work, I would love to have. I don't know if Discord would fit down there, but potentially Discord and or like a little video or music controls down there, just so they're not all over my screens. So I again can have what I'm really working on the main screens. But as soon as I get that, I would still need another monitor. Behavior graphs are designed for 2 monitors. Interesting. I haven't seen that. All right, here we are into the world map generator. This is going to do a bit more. So let's go look at set tile colors. Okay, this is where we're going to have to differentiate a little bit. So set tile colors, that is not something we want to do on map load. This is a little bit of kind of a holdover from the old version. I think all of these, so update interactables, that's good. Close windows, good. Adjust map position, all of that is good. So we can duplicate all, or I think it's all good. We're going to duplicate all of those. I think that's good. Save that one. Okay. Yeah, I hear you there. Yeah. Have I tried behavior graphs? Oh, way back when, way back when on previous projects. They're pretty cool. I mean, they're super cool. And I'll agree with you. Yeah, it took me a good long while to wrap my head around them. I don't know that I fully grasped all the ins and outs of the behavior graph, but they're super cool. Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to create AI or AI units in your game, I think behavior graphs are a great way to do it, especially if you want, yeah, if the AI gets complex at all. I played during COVID with my robotics class when we were remote for a little bit. We played Gladiabots, which super cool game. Uses behavior graphs. You program your own battle bots, so to speak, and it uses behavior graphs, or at least a form of behavior graphs. Super cool. Looks like we got a few more folks joining. Folks got questions? Feel free to drop them in chat. Also happy to help people with projects if I can, or sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Otherwise, slippery veins and I'll just keep chatting along. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is we've got set tile colors, which right now is a really dumb, it's a dumb function name because all it's doing is turning this player, the first tile to blue so that the player owns it. That is it. And so what I'm seeing here is sector manager unlocked. So if the sector manager deals with these loaded sectors, then this should get called in. We're going to change the colors anyways. So I think we don't need to add anything to this. So let's go look at map. Let's go look and see what we're doing here on this. And so one of the things that's in the back of my head now is, so I have this sector data and I have level data, and they originated in separate ways, but they do have a lot of the same content. And so I'm wondering how much of that are we duplicating? Because let's go look at sector data. So we've got location. So this is a sector location. This is location of all the tiles, of the subtiles that are in it. Whether we're unlocked, visible. I don't think this is getting used anymore. Yeah, we can get rid of that. Basically, this has all the information that we need about that. Whereas level data right now has sector type and location. The built-in behavior graphs that were introduced, I have not. No, I have not. No, I was talking about behavior graphs. I was talking about behavior. Sorry, I was talking about behavior trees. Behavior. I can't remember what the name of the asset is. That is a third-party asset that I messed around with years and years ago. I have not played with behavior graphs that are built into Unity. That I have not played with. To be honest, I think when you work on a project, you have to choose where your energy and difficulty and unknown amount of unknowns that you have. And so that can go in a lot of different buckets, so to speak. Like, I think you have a certain amount of juice and you got to choose which bucket to put in. And I think AI is definitely a big bucket. It's a bucket that for the most part, I have chosen to go around and ignore. My very first game, if I had one regret for my first game, would be getting convinced by myself and or others that I needed to implement multiplayer instead of implementing half decent AI. Back then, something like behavior trees, behavior graphs would have been super helpful. Okay, let's keep looking at yeah, I think messing with enemy behavior can be fun. I think it just depends on, again, like it depends on the game you're making and what have you, and what your goals are, right? If, you know, But in my first game, even with my skill set back then, I'm sure I could have, in the same amount of time that I implemented multiplayer, I could have had, I did actually add some AI, but if I'd taken all that energy from the multiplayer and put it into AI for single player, I think I would have produced a much better game. And the game could still be played by people, because right now nobody's playing, so you can't play multiplayer. All right, so we need to all right, let's look at, so we're actually saving data here. So we're already saving all of our resources here. So this is really where I think the next piece of work needs to go in. So this map loaded, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do that, because we are doing this. So what we need to do, I'm just looking through here. So this is get sector location. So this is how we actually build all the sector data. With the location, a sector center, get neighbors in range. All right, so let's look at what data we're saving in sector data. So let's go here. Let's save our daily cost. I think that's important. We're going to regenerate our resource tiles, because those are just objects. We can get those references again. We got rid of visible. Let's reset this and rebuild this, because do we have errors? That's why we're not compiling. I am not using tile maps. Not using tile maps. These are okay. Okay, we are saving locations. Cool. They're just regular 3D objects. I'm using a asset called GPU instancer, which handles GPU instancing of the prefabs, or of the meshes rather, and also handles frustum culling, which is pretty cool. So even though I have tens of thousands of tiles in the scene, they aren't getting rendered. And that's one of the big things that I need to test. I've essentially doubled the number of tiles that I have in the game, and I need to check the performance of it. Frame rate has not dropped, so I think we're pretty okay. But it's one of the things I need to check. Okay, that's what I needed. Okay. This is what I need. This is really what I was looking for here is we need to know when the sector is unlocked so that then circles back to our window or our world map manager, and it updates the colors, which again is not really. I think this world map manager likely needs to go away. I'm not convinced it's doing a lot of good at the moment. It used to be considerably bigger, but it's the ever shrinking class. Okay. So let's see, can we compile without issue? So let's test this out. We're going to test a couple things here. Yeah, slippery veins. Yeah, so my world is all in the XZ plane. Yeah, all in the XZ plane. That's what you're getting into. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think we were talking about this before. It's an interesting thing to think about a 2.5D game. And tile maps, like, I had students in the past using tile maps, and so I learned enough to teach them and like point them in the right direction. I was super impressed with tile maps. They were pretty cool. All right. So we're going to test a couple things here. One is like, hey, does this still load? I was testing this last week, so I'm pretty sure this piece still works, that we're able to build and load the map. Our messages down here need to get updated because they're going to repeat over and over again, and our progress bar will go backwards. So that's something else that needs to get dealt with. It's going to go forwards and then backwards for each sector. I think we're building 15 sectors or something. So we want to test to make sure that this is working. I guess we can pop into the scene view. Yeah, you can see, okay, it's working. And there's that GPU instancing that you can see how we are using frustum culling. So you can see that the tiles here end. They're not drawn. And even our little outlines here, those get cold as well. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're in. Cool beans. So we want to do a few things here to test. We're going to get started here. All right. And to be perfectly honest, like I will be 50-50 at best that this saving is going to work. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got our one sector, and you can see my sight lines don't extend into that sector. Same over here. All right, we can't see into this other sector, which is great because we haven't unlocked it yet. All right, so that's working. That's great that's not broken. So here's our world map. I am going to snag a screenshot of that because I got a memory like Swiss cheese at the moment. And we want to see if we can regenerate that same map. You like the fog? Yeah, the fog is cool. Those are clouds up above. I honestly don't remember how I did that. I think it's a little shader of some sort. There's actually 2 layers of clouds that you can go through. Um, looks like they're not quite set right. My fog is definitely not correct at the moment. I do have fog as well to give some depth when you're down lower. But that's not set right. Okay, so that was my world map. And oh, the other thing I wanted to do, we want to, let's unlock, oh, I need to give myself a lot of money. Why is my cheat code not working? Oh, because wait, no? Okay, I don't know why that wasn't showing up. That was a little weird. All right, we need to give ourselves a lot of money. Let's pause the game here so we don't end up with getting attacked while we're trying to cheat our way through this. Add tech credit. There we go. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, it doesn't because it's looking for a Steam. All right, well, that's unfortunate. You're hopeless when it comes to management games. That was the reason that one of the reasons, and I probably said it before, I'm not trying to convince you to purchase this game by any means. But it's one of the reasons I wanted to make this game was because I think some management games just get too tedious. Okay, it's still not going to let me do that. Okay, well, we can't do that right now. So let's save it as is. Map test. All right, game paused, save complete. Okay, so it says the game is complete. And it's not letting me add credits because I track Steam stats with it. So it's throwing an error because there's no Steam connection because I didn't have Steam loaded. Shouldn't be a problem this time around. So let's just see if that game loads. What I want to see is, does it load? Is there any indication that we loaded the wrong? It's not even showing up there. Why is it not showing up there? All right, something is broken. Oh, there it is. Why did it get dropped in? Okay, so we saved in the wrong folder. That's a big problem. I don't think it'll find it a second time if I open it up. I don't think it refreshes. Okay, let's. Yeah, Factorio. See, that's how I think, obviously Factorio is a brilliant game that people absolutely love. But I think in some ways, like, and I've really enjoyed playing Factorio and I've gone back to it a couple times. But maybe I just don't, there's some aspects of Factorio that I don't understand. But in some ways, Factorio was the game that I built this in response to. Because as brilliant as Factorio is, I get about, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 hours into a playthrough, and I'm like, I'm frustrated because I've now got to route like this thing that was getting created over here nice and peacefully now needs this other resource. And I've got to like rebuild everything and remake everything so that it all flows together again. I just like, I got tired of the micromanagement of it. All right, there's our world map test. So let's get our notepad here. I need to start tracking some of these issues here. All right, notepad. Save files, going to wrong directory, wrong folder. Cool. Let's see if this works. Okay. Yeah, right. And I think there's a lot of people that like that sort of like intricacy and planning. Oh, this definitely didn't work right, did it? You're right. Like that level of intricacy and planning, that's what people like. And so maybe it was really a dumb idea to build a game that removes the piece that a lot of people like. One of the reviews on my game was like, it's basically an idle game. And I'm sure compared to Factorio, it can feel that way. Yeah, but I wanted to make a game that was like, yeah, like, you know, what is going on? Like the cursor's not in the right spot. Like what in the world? What in the world is going on? Yeah, but I wanted to make a game that did its best to skip some of that tediousness and brought the pieces of that I enjoy of like working your way through a tech tree and building something bigger. And yeah, you still got a little bit of sorting to do, but I don't know. All right, we have like something is deeply borked here. But let's take a look here. Obviously that did not load correctly. Why didn't the loading screen show up? Balls. You installed Bongo Cat today. I gotta hand it to those guys. Like, that was a very popular game. Yeah, I think it's like, there it is. Yeah, Bongo Cat, 102,000 people playing it at the moment. Right? And isn't Bongo Cat like, it's all like, yeah, it's just based on selling items. I mean, good for them. Yeah, right. It looks like it's hardly a game, but hey, like it's like people are playing it a bunch or downloading it, and it looks like it's the same mechanic as like the banana clicker game from a while. In that like the financial side of it is like they're making money off of players selling or trading items between each other. But it feels pretty to me. It looks much more transparent. Like it looks like from that, it looked like you're modifying your cat, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more to it than that, but it looks less harmless, and it looks like it's cuter and more fun than say the stupid banana clicker game. All right. Well, let's okay. So here is a big issue here is that our loading screen object is not coming in correctly. So unfortunately, one of the things that happened, one of the things that broke when I was moving towards this world map, I did a lot of fixing of the save and load system to make it better. but I didn't, and it worked really well. It was ugly, but it was working. But now that I've yanked out some of that world map functionality, it's now broken some of this, which is a bummer. So let's do one thing first. Let's go look at, let's look at where we're saving this data. Okay, so it's all getting saved. That's the colony data there. And I think what we are doing, yeah, I think we just aren't using the directory anymore. Yeah, I think we just pulled that out of there. And I think the reason we were doing that was because we were using something different for, yeah, I had changed it so that because the pivot in the world map was this idea away, so it was creating like this campaign where you'd have all these different colonies, and so you were going to have like a campaign save file, and then each colony was going to get saved in its own file. And then to keep that reasonably tidy and for some other helpful reasons, every campaign was going to go in its own folder. And so I think this used to have a campaign directory in there. And when I yanked all that out, I just didn't put the directory path back in. So that should fix that. We can test that. Yeah. Just looking back at your comments here, slippery veins. Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. Is like basically just when you type, the cat does its thing, right? Like it seems pretty harmless. It seems fun. I would imagine that it gets tired pretty quickly. To me, like I assumed it was just something that you would like load up while you were like while I was working my day, and so as I was coding, I was getting my cat points or whatever they are. But yeah, it seemed pretty harmless. Do I have safety measures to catch if something happens during saving, like not enough space? Not that particular case. My save files, these new save files are going to be a little bit larger, but they're like, save files are like 0.5 MB I don't even think they're that big. Let's see, this new save was, this new save is actually 2 MB. So it's actually a decent size save. The old ones used to be 0.5 MB. In that particular case, maybe I should be smart enough to check that. I do have for safety measures. This is more for loading. So I have a variable here of save complete. So that's the first value that I save to a save file. I set it to false. And then that is essentially the last value that I saved to that file. Again, I flip it back to true. So that at least it lets me know on the back end when I'm reloading a file if the saving was successful. So if any error happens, then that save complete is going to be false. I do a few other safety checks in terms of sharing violations. That was a big issue that I've been that I was fighting for a while, and it was one of those things that maybe there was a whole bunch of potential causes, and I just kind of slowly nipped one at a time, and I think that's now gone. And you can gzip it to compress it. Could be something to look into. I guess my thought is, I was actually feeling, even at the half a megabyte, I was feeling a little, I don't know what the right word is. I was feeling like the save file was too big. And then I went and looked at RimWorld, and the RimWorld save files are like 15 or 20 megabytes each, to which I decided to not worry about the save file size. I think it's also one of those things like save file size, like maybe it's the wrong attitude, but if I knew that tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people were going to play this game for years and years and years, then I'd be more concerned about it. But, you know, right now, I think I've sold somewhere between probably just over 300 copies, 300 or 400 copies, and I'd be pretty happy if I get to 1,000 copies. And honestly, probably most people are playing, you know, this isn't the game that they're spending 30 hours a week playing and replaying and replaying and replaying. So, oh, I can imagine a Skyrim save is huge. Yeah, doesn't surprise me too much. Yeah, and if somebody's hard drive can't handle a 2 megabyte file, hopefully Windows is giving them a lot of warnings beforehand. You know, it's not necessarily the right attitude, but yeah. For me, making sure that the save file was complete and had all the data that I needed in it, that was the number one issue that I came up with, ran into. Okay, so let's see if that saves correctly. Let's just make sure that that's saving back in the correct folder. Actually, I might want to take a look at that save file and make sure. I mean, it's 200. It's 2 megabytes. It's got to have enough. I wonder what all that is. Oh, price history. Okay, yeah. Price history. And here's all my tiles. Yep. Save complete was true, so we got all the way through it. So that should actually be a valid save file. Okay, so let's go back and look at this other error. We're going to assume that that is correct. We lost it. Okay, where's my error? Okay. So this is the error that was blocking the loading. Because we didn't have a loading screen object in here. And this has been through so many iterations. So there's my loading screen manager, It has reference to that prefab. You made $2 with your Volt game on itch. Hey, $2 is $2, man. I mean, obviously $2, you're not going to do a lot with that, but the number of people who have made games and haven't made $2, or even the number of people who have started to make a game and have not ever made $2, that is a huge percentage out there. It looks like we've got more folks joining. If you got questions, feel free to throw them in chat. Ask about the game. If you got your own project, happy to talk about that too. We are, for those new to the stream here, I am now into the code that I like the very least. If there's anything in Unity that I despise, it is handling the changing of scenes in a smooth way. I don't know why it's so frustrating to me. I have people tell me that they have the system for it. I don't like it. I don't like it in this project. I don't like it in my work project. Okay. So let's just trace our way back through here. Okay, so load async. This is what we're calling change scene and load file. Okay, let's just make sure all of these scenes actually exist. Build profiles. Yeah, loading. I am pretty sure UI testing is not the thing that I want to be loaded in there. Okay. So that's a major issue right there. We were loading a scene that doesn't exist. And I believe we just went away from that idea. So that loading scene was there for the campaign mode. When you loaded into another colony, what we needed to do was fully unload the current colony and then reload the colony. And the easiest, simplest way of doing that was to unload the current scene, or was to load async load this loading scene that kind of like blocks the UI or blocks the screen so you don't see all the garbage that's going on. You get some nice UI. We unload the game scene and then reload the game scene with the data for the new colony. And but we don't need that anymore. Oh, you just figured out what OWS stands for. Yeah, I like bikes. So when I was coming up with a name, I wanted something that reflected that I liked bikes. And there's just one of me. People have joked that if I ever got a partner, I'd have to change the name of the studio, but I'm really surprised that this didn't. Okay, we got a bazillion errors going on now. So let's get rid of this. We're just not unloading. There's no scene to unload. And load colony. This just isn't a thing anymore. Load new colony. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Do I remember Arthur Two Sheds Jackson? I don't. I like the name. Let's just get rid of a bunch of this shit that we don't need anymore. I like deleting stuff. Load game scene. Like that. Load async. Okay, and so here is our, this is our offending code here, right here. We don't want that. Oh, it's so satisfying to delete code. Like my ideal game would have like no lines of code. You just get to delete it all. It's my favorite thing, especially in my day job, where a fair number of the systems we go back and add to them, or we're revamping them with some new systems, and I so love Love it when I get into an old system and just can like delete hundreds of lines of code, but improve the functionality. Let's see what you're saying here. Not a Python fan? I mean, I don't know if you're cracking a joke, but maybe I missed something, but I have done very little in Python. I do get very thrown off by the fact that there's no semicolon at the end of a line of Python. Okay, so here, so again, here is our, we're fixing things a little bit, but we need to figure out actually what it was. Oh, that's it. Okay, so we were loading this. I'm curious if we just remove all that functionality. Oop, okay, we have one compile issue still. And we still have one of these here. Oh, I undid two. So we would have loaded the wrong scene, which didn't have a loading screen in it. I kind of don't think this is going to work, but let's see if it does. I didn't mean the language. Yeah, deleting backups. Well, I mean, version control is your friend. Version control is your friend. Oh, we still have an error in here. Version control is your friend. The Odin guys, I don't know if they're still using it, but they showed me it just uses GitHub Git and GitHub account, but I really like this, whatever you want to call it, graphical interface for version control fork. I like it so much better than what I use at work, which is source tree. This, like, it's just, it does things nicely and easily. And kind of whenever like I want to do something with it, like I can find the option. I don't have to learn the command prompt, which I know is like, it feels like a rite of passage for some people, but. And that's not true. I think there still was a few things that I had to do with a command prompt to make it work. Whatever. Version control is your only friend. Yeah, version control. The only time that I don't like version control is when I've been the idiot and I haven't used it correctly. Like when I forget to commit something. Yeah, slippery veins. Like I feel like that's this, like, there's a hesitation to use source control, version control with people get started, but it's really, it's not bad. Hey, Adam. Good to see you again. Well, I guess I can't see you. Glad you could join again. How you been? All right, let's see if this thing works. Fingers crossed. 30% chance this works. Or just freezes the... I mean, that is definitely not what is supposed to happen. That's better than last time. I don't know what's going on. Like, something's so deeply broken. Like the cursor's not with the mouse. Why are these Okay. Oh, I see what's going on because we didn't unload. We still have the start scene in here. So we didn't unload the start scene. Good. The I mean, you can see a little bit here. We've stepped in it fairly royally here. I can't remember where we were last time you were on. I was exploring this idea of a world map and kind of a campaign mode where you could get multiple colonies and trade between colonies. And I got that working, but I quickly realized that despite it working, it was going to be a giant mess to test. It just wasn't practical for me in the few hours a week that I get by myself to test and polish that system. It just, yeah. Which is a good thing to realize. That's a good thing to think about, that I am still very much learning that needs to be part of the development process. In terms of the calculation of how long something's going to take. And so what I did instead is I took 3/4, maybe a little bit more of what I created in that process, and I've pivoted it to still use the world map, still use a lot of what I created, but instead we're going to have, you're going to stay on one map and you're going to unlock sectors. So the map itself, the game is right now, I think we've got about roughly 2 to 3 times as many tiles on the map, 2 or 3 as much area to expand into, but minus the complexity of unloading and reloading different colonies, and having to simulate those colonies while you weren't there. That was a little tricky. Yeah, still looking at 2076. I mean, come on. I mean, probably. I mean, 2076. I mean, I don't want to be rushed. But yeah, this, like, I very much, I could have just like finished this game and shoved it out the door and been done with it. But I want to make the game reasonably as complete as I can. And I think this pivot, although I've spent the last few weeks, I've actually been busy with some other work. So I haven't had a lot of time to work on it, but this pivot, I think, actually is going to let me get back on track and get this game out. Maybe by like 2062, a little ahead of your schedule, but with the old version, it was going to be like, I don't know when it was not going to get done there. All right, let's see where we ran into issues now. Same problem. Okay. Okay. Again, least favorite code. Least favorite code is changing scenes. Adam, that makes me laugh. That's hilarious. I feel like you could have your own like social media outreach as the drill sergeant bus driver. I forgot that you were doing that. That is a job that does not pay enough. It does not pay enough. Okay, I really want to get this solved. I would love today if I could get this world loaded. I'm pretty sure that save file is valid. At least that there's something to load. So we need to figure out here. Let's go look at The number of times that I've had to do this on stream is embarrassing, but we are going to do it again because, well, because we are. What we're going to do is go back. Oh, and by that, I mean like working on this freaking loading and saving thing. So what I want to look at is how we are handling the new game loading, because essentially it's very similar. We're just, what we're doing instead, basically we're doing the same thing as we do to load a new game, in that we are popping up this loading screen, we are changing scenes, but instead of generating the world, we're pushing the data into the system. We're not having to generate the data. We can just use the data straight ahead. So let's go. I think this is like the thing that needs to happen. All right, so we load the scene. Okay, we do not, oh, and then maybe we do need to do that. Scene helper fade to black. So, okay. Just trying to think about where I want to actually put this in here. I think that, let's try. Okay. So I was looking at the timing here issue. So fade to black, we have a callback, which is this load async. When we fade to black, that is when we want to load the start screen, or start this loading screen. Yeah, Adam, you saying that there's I have no idea what the name is. My wife's a teacher. I used to be a teacher, but there's this high school principal, I think it's a high school principal, who is very charismatic, very funny, and on Facebook will post these, like, they're like daily debriefs. It's just him sitting in the car, like going through all the crazy shit that happened at school, and does it in a very funny yet respectful, a little edgy, in the sense of being funny, and the guy is pretty freaking hilarious. And like, I'm just like picturing you doing the same thing, but from a bus driver scenario. All right, let's see if we, oh, we didn't, oh no, it didn't work. Slippery Veins, yeah, you should go to sleep. Streaming on Thursdays, yeah, for the most part, we'll be streaming the same time. Thursdays is the day I aim for. Yeah, like I said, YouTube seemed to penalize me for posting a stream early. So I haven't been posting early, but yeah, this is the time I'll be streaming. And sometimes I know when I won't be streaming, sometimes I don't. All right. Yeah, I totally think you could do something like that. I can imagine you'd be very good at story time. At least if you do, why don't you still work? All right, we're gonna put a breakpoint in here and see what the hell's going on. We got that was the loading screen. Hey, Slippery Veins, thanks for stopping by, chatting. Appreciate it. See you next time. I feel like my mic's a little close. All right. What? But we did. Let's just. We're gonna. Oh, we got a couple fade to blacks going on. Okay. Save load manager. Let's I don't think we need to do that. So let's just do load async. And let's make sure we're attached. All right, let's see here. I don't know why we're not hitting that. Why are we hitting that breakpoint? I mean, we're loading. Yeah, I need to fix that error too. Hey, Alexander, thanks for joining again. Appreciate it. Well, I didn't stream for a good while. This is week number 3 in a row, but I hadn't streamed since like early November. So you may not have missed too much. I gotta send a text here real quick. It makes for really good content, right? Watching a guy stare at his phones, texting his wife. How's the game going? Yeah, hey, it is going. It's going good actually. Fighting a little bit of a bug here, but as I was telling Alex here or Adam here that that I kind of I pivoted the game and I think in a way that I'm pretty happy about. was working towards this campaign mode, which I thought was great. The game needed another layer on top. It needed some extra layer. And in exploring that idea of a campaign mode and a world map. Okay, do not destroy. We got that. Okay, so why we have what the so we must not have found this intro fade. That's got to be what's going on. So anyways, in that in that process, realized that it just like as much as I was close to having it working, that the prospect of getting it across the finish line in terms of polish and being reasonably bug free was just going to take too long. It had taken too long to build the system as is, but then the prospect of testing was going to add months and months and months to the work. And worse than that, was likely to create a buggy mess that just wasn't. Oh, there it is. It's right there. That just wasn't gonna. That just wasn't good. So let's do this. Let's. I have a tendency of writing this code in a little bit more compact form like that. So let's do. Let's do this so we can actually see the instance of it. Because I want to make sure that this thing actually exists, that we're finding it. And then loading screen. So we're getting this prefab. Does it have a loading screen on it? So maybe we moved that. That's possible that we also moved that. So yeah, anyways, like pivoted a little bit and took that campaign mode still and kept, yeah, I see where you are. Yeah, I see what's going on. I see what's going on. Oh, nope, there it is. All right, let's do it this way. And I've turned it into I can't speak at the moment. Saved most of that work, maybe 3/4 of that work, and have pivot that into more of a larger world map instead of a campaign mode. So we saved a lot of. That's not going to work, is it? I wasn't paying attention. Pivoted into more of a large world map that you can unlock as you go instead of individual colonies that you're unlocking, which got me around a couple technical snafus and I think it's going to get me back on track of building out the content of this game. There's still some big question marks in it in terms of performance. Right, basically made 2.5 times the land mass, so meaning your bases can get a lot bigger. So we got some performance questions there, but I like it. Yeah, so I'm actually really encouraged with the state of it right now. I was definitely feeling bogged down in that other view of just. There were lots of little subtle edge cases that were catching me out, that were hard to test, and just like it would no joke, it would take 15 minutes to test something. Because in order to test something with a campaign, you'd have to go through and like create all these this like campaign file so that you could save this new value to see if it was working. And it just, I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but man, that was a pain in the ass. All right, let's see. We know this is where we're hitting some issue here. Well, I guess we don't know that, but we're not getting this loading screen object created. And it's on this do not destroy object. It's right there. Okay. All right, we don't need a breakpoint here. We know we're hitting that. In we go here. So there's our fade. Okay, so that's not null. Let's go in here and see if we actually hit this. Okay, we did. Play intro. All right, so we're doing the loading game intro. Is there a goal or a win condition yet? Man, why do you ask such good questions? There is not yet a goal or a win condition. The campaign mode kind of had one in that you were battling out, you were trying to like take over all these sectors. That wasn't well developed and was a good symptom of feature creep. I think what I'm going to go back to, there was those special projects where you're building these large special projects. And I think I might go back to that. That system, it's actually not active in the game right now. It just felt janky the way it was implemented. It just wasn't solid enough. I didn't destroy anything. I didn't get rid of anything, but it doesn't activate in the game right now. I think I might go back to that. Yeah. And I think that, that'll just be something like, we were talking, Slippery Veins and I were talking about Factorio, right? Like Factorio, you build a ship, you get off the planet, right? Rimworld's kind of the same. At some levels, not really the point of the game. It is the point of the game, but it's not really the point of the game. I think it would be something similar where you're not trying to get off the world per se, but maybe your final step is building this giant weapon to win the war. That's kind of, I think, where I'm imagining this going. Okay. Okay, we should be able to find, okay, so we've got it now. We've got our loading screen. Wait, what happened? Okay. Hey man, yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks. Yeah, go feed the goblins. I'm sure they're demanding. I appreciate you stopping by again. It's nice to chat with you again. Okay, so we are not finding an audio listener. Maybe we just, I mean, I kind of don't care. We're getting the warning right now that we have 2 audio listeners, so we're trying to kill it. But that's because we haven't unloaded the start scene. Okay, let's turn this off for, actually, let's just go back here. Let's turn that off for now. And so I think what's going on here with, okay, so that function itself was throwing an error. This whole time I was chasing down, I thought it was the loading screen that was null. It's not the loading screen that was null. It was the thing in this function here. Or maybe it was the loading screen and now this thing's an issue too. So that loading screen has been through, that prefab has been through so many iterations. I'm not terribly surprised there's a little bit of debris. But what we're not ever doing is unloading. I mean, I've got all this like index shit that's going around, current index, scene index, which is a little, that again, that is, maybe that's smart, but that's a little bit of a holdover from this campaign scene switching, where right now we have 2 scenes. I mean, we just want to do game scene, start scene, like that. All right, fingers crossed. We'll see if this works. Let's see. If this is working, we might call it a day. I'd love to get this done. I'd feel pretty successful if we're able to save and load with a new world map. That would feel pretty awesome. All right, there's our world map test. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is all working. I just got breakpoints everywhere now. we're not done loading, that's for sure. I mean, I'm not going to call it a win, but my cursor is at least in the right place now. Okay, I'm pretty sure I know what happened there. I'm willing to bet that this, so because right now we're actually, I don't know. I bet our, I think that's a class. That's a class that just needs to go away. I don't know. It could be, I mean, there could be a bunch of things. So here we've got this error here, no map data found. So that throwing that error, that's just a debug error. That shouldn't have broken anything. Let's do a little bit more debugging here, and then we might call it quits here. Well, at least we're getting further. And this is just going to be those things of like chasing down. Again, these are all just these changes, right? There's all these little changes that went into the save system. And unfortunately, I didn't have a clean way of reverting back because I made a lot of improvements when I was making the campaign mode changes. Okay, so let's check our data here. Okay, so we've got 28 pieces of data. That seems good. So we're loading. Oh, here we go. I lost that again. We're loading an empty temp file. All right, one more try. Let's see. I'm going to quit here at some point, but again, this is kind of going to be my usual time, at least for a while. This is this time of year, don't have a lot of things going on, so should be streaming pretty regularly. There we go. There's a lot of tile. There's my tiles getting loaded. 11,000 war fog of war tiles are probably going to load a lot more than that. There she is. She's loading. It's a good way to get everybody to come back to another stream is if I sing. Man. It's loading. I mean, I'm not saying this is fast, but it usually loads about twice as fast in a standalone build as it does in the editor. So I think this is acceptable. Let's get rid of all these breakpoints. Yes. And how's my world map? Okay. Oh, it's possible that we're not generating a new world map. It's possible that I'm using the same seed, but that is the same damn map. So that's at least. It's possible I forgot to push the button to randomize, but I am pretty sure that is we are generating the right world. We are loading. Oh, I like it. And there's all my money. Now my colors on my map are not right. That's not a big surprise. All right, map coloration, I can live with that not being. I can unlock that one. I can unlock that one. It still knows where I'm at. It still knows I'm here. I can't unlock this one because that's where I'm at. I can unlock the adjacent ones, but I can't unlock these ones. It's not perfect. Here's another bug I'd love to figure out. Bothers me so much that this happens. It's just Z fighting. I'm sure it's just Z fighting of two surfaces. I've tried shrinking it down and I just need to make them like you can see that there's no actual gap between them. And so maybe that's the issue. It's just like they just need to be like 2% smaller. All right, I am pretty darn stoked on this. Yeah, we still got some issues, but we're able to save, we're able to load. This is going to mean that playtesting is not. Playtesting is pretty doable. How are we doing? Okay, we're holding like in here. We're holding. Oh, that is all over the place, which is not good. We're sitting at like 30-ish FPS if nothing's moving, which in my experience, that translates usually to, that's translated to much higher in a build. That could translate to, that should be at least doubled, if not triple. I think it's quite possible that we could be sitting higher than that. In the past, I think it would see FPS of like in the mid 30s, and that would turn into 100 plus in a standalone build. You know, and not streaming and got all this other stuff going on. So let's see if our enemy generation is working. Oh, well, it's not. That would appear to be broken. Yep, there you go. There's going to be a lot of these little things. There's going to be a lot of these things that are going to have to get fixed. but I'm happy because this gives me a way I can now save and test things, which is great. All right, I'm going to call it quits. I appreciate it. Really do appreciate folks stopping by. I feel like we're going to start picking up some momentum here and start cranking stuff out. Next big step is, well, got to polish this up, fix the little bugs here and there. We're still getting some errors here, obviously. And then we're going to move into playtesting to find more of these bugs, like the enemies not loading correctly. I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the stream too, there's things like the lighting and fog styles. Right now, there's some weirdness there that needs to get resolved and addressed. It should be easy to clean out. I think there's maybe some coolness that we can add there. The idea was that when you had a world of different tile types, so there's like the normal type and desert, and there's barren and marsh. There's 4 different biospheres right now, that you would have different lighting and different color fog just to give a little bit different atmosphere. I think some of that would still be cool too. So like as you move towards a desert, the lighting will lerp or smoothly change to the lighting of that desert. You know, as you move around, we'll kind of use, you know, your closest tiles to kind of average it all out. I think that could be kind of a nice detail that I don't know is that. I was playing around with lerping between gradients. I don't think it's all that crazy. How do you lerp more than 2 gradients? That I'm not sure. Probably the same idea. You add them up and average them out. It's probably all you got to do. Anyways, I do appreciate folks stopping by, joining. We'll be back next Thursday unless the world falls apart. Seems like that's always an option these days. Should be back next Thursday, same time. Hopefully this week I'll have some more free time and we'll be a little bit farther ahead than I was today. But it could be a busy week and we just pick up right here. Who knows? Anyways, again, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hope to see you guys next time.